Hey everyone, welcome to our Twitter space. Thank you all for joining and taking the time to listen. We're here today to learn more about Celo and impactMarket. So Celo is Polkastarter's new integrated network, and impactMarket is the first Celo IDO happening on Polkastarter. And they are also the first social impact project to be launched on our platform. So this is a very special moment. Welcome, Renee and Marco. Could you please first introduce yourselves to our community?
Hi, sure. Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. So I'm Marco. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of impactMarket, and I've been working in the digital philanthropy for over a decade. And I've been working in impactMarkets about for 2 years, more or less. And impactMarket is basically a poverty alleviation protocol focused on provide access to finance to those that need it the most, people living in very vulnerable communities, most of them in living in extreme poverty and are unbanked as well. So what we are trying to provide is initially a basic income to those that need it the most, and we are using this technology because most of the communities we are supporting is not possible through other technology. But yeah, I'm Portuguese and happy to be here.
Hey, it's great to be here. I'm Renee. Thanks, Kate, for hosting. Hey, Marco, good to have you on. So yeah, my name is Renee. I'm one of the co-founders of Celo. If you haven't heard of Celo, it is a layer 1 protocol, fully EVM compatible. The reason we started Celo is because we saw a big potential for bringing DeFi and Web3 more broadly to the 6 billion smartphone subscribers around the globe. And so a key feature of the platform is an ultralight client, which allows trustless communications with the blockchain from just a simple mobile device. And yeah, big focus for us has been on bringing some of the innovations that I think many here on this call, I see some familiar faces, have been using on, for example, Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, other EVM chains, but really making it accessible on a mobile phone. And so one use case that particularly excited us when we started Celo was sort of this concept around universal basic income and the ability to allow people anywhere in the world, even if there's no bank around or not good financial infrastructure, to receive micropayments, small payments, and be able to use them locally. And it's been exciting to see what Marco has built, and it's the reason that this is one of the very few calls I'm doing while on vacation. Couldn't be more excited for this.
Yeah. Let's just to start. Let's deep dive a little bit about what Celo is. So, what is the vision behind it, and why are you building it, Renee?
Yeah. So, look, when we first started, looking into the space and diving into this, we actually started building a wallet on Ethereum, and there are a few things that we felt weren't really working in terms of the product we wanted to build. And I mentioned mobile. That's a big differentiator for Celo. So having the ability to run an ultralight client on a phone and really allow people from just a phone, access and participate in all these amazing protocols that are getting built. But I think there are a few other elements as well. And Celo was started 4 years ago. And at the time, for example, if you wanted to do a transaction on Ethereum and, putting meta transactions aside, you would need ETH. And even though the ETH price has been going up and down, depending on where we are in the cycle, that's just really confusing to people who are not in the crypto space day in, day out. And so if you wanted to send someone, for example, $10 worth of stablecoin, and then you need another token, another currency to pay for that transaction, that gets quite complicated for the average user. And so with Cello, we made the decision to allow fees to be paid in stablecoin. Talking about stablecoins, also 4 years ago, we didn't really have many stablecoins, or a lot of Maker hadn't launched yet when we first started. There were sort of the first beginnings of people exploring trustless, decentralized stablecoin designs. And we were pretty excited to think about what the future could look like in terms of not just bringing a lot more fiat stablecoins on chain, as we've done so far on Cello with the Cello dollar, the Cello euro, and now the Cello real, but also allow for a whole new class of stablecoins that are pegged to other benchmarks. And longer term, because of the stablecoin design on Cello, not rely on fiat reserves in a bank account, but given that they're fully collateralized with crypto assets on chain, also allow for the proliferation of natural asset-backed currencies. And so you could imagine a currency, whether that's a fiat-pegged stablecoin or another stablecoin pegged to another benchmark, being backed by, for example, forest tokens, and bringing therefore the health of our planets much more in sync with the currencies we use.
And how is Cello secured?
Yeah, so just super quick. So Cello is a proof of stake network. And I'm sure here folks on the call are familiar with sort of proof of stake designs. And so you have validators that are running validator nodes, and people can lock their Cello and elect those validators and earn staking rewards. Currently, I think, let me just check the current numbers. I think there's over $1 billion worth of Cello securing the network. And that obviously increases as the price of Cello goes up.
Okay, awesome. What makes Cello want to support impactMarket? I know you've just introduced it a little bit in the beginning of the Twitter space, but what makes you want to support this social project like impactMarket?
Yeah. Look, I think for anyone here who's met Marco and his team, it's hard not to be fans of what they're building and the passion they bring to this product. I personally have seen impactMarket beneficiaries receiving donations. I myself, I'm a donor. I've given to impactMarket many times. And I think it's just one of those amazing examples of what blockchain technology more generally can enable. And it leverages a lot of the features that I mentioned for Cello, but it also scales in a way that really no traditional organization, whether that's an aid organization or even a Web2 technology company, could scale. And so I'm convinced that in the years to come, impactMarket will scale to billions of people and really eradicate poverty, but also more importantly, bring basic financial infrastructure to people all around the world to then leverage other products. I've always been a fan of thinking about this more holistically, where it's not just about giving someone $1 or $2 a day to lift them out of extreme poverty, but giving them access to the digital economy, which is truly global and could enable someone to do a task on their phone to earn enough money to buy a meal or pay rent. And so I think when you talk to Marco and the team, they're extremely focused on executing on that roadmap. And to me, that is one of the most powerful applications that this technology could ever enable. And to see what impactMarket has already achieved, I mean, I don't know many other, I mean, I know many projects in the space, but I don't know any other projects that have had similar impact, both on an individual basis, but then also in terms of the ability to scale on a kind of resource basis. So yeah, I think to me, when I look at the Celo ecosystem and I look at the broader crypto ecosystem, this is really one of the most exciting projects out there. And the fact that it actually does something good in the world is obviously amazing. But I think more than that, it is just a really, you know, it's one of those things that I think will really unlock, you know, billions of people in the world having access to financial products in the digital economy.
That was a really nice introduction to impactMarket. Let me just ask Marco now. So impactMarket has been around for a year at least. So tell us a little bit more about your project. So what is impactMarket and why are you building it?
Hi, sure. Thanks, Rene, for your kind words. Okay, so impactMarket was when we started to think about it. My previous startup was about, and it is still running, but was more about fundraising for causes and charities, and on the web too, trying to provide transparency and trying to reach the most vulnerable beneficiaries in developing countries was not possible. So there are too many intermediaries, and most of the people that actually need to access finance, they don't have a bank account or is currently with Web2 practically or almost impossible to reach them, even for them to access finance. So that was kind of the start, and then we started to think more about, okay, so where is actually the problem for these people, and why it's so hard for them to uplift themselves from the situation they are in. And when we think about countries like Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and where you see hyperinflation, you see a lot of blockers from the government or from the banks, we thought that, okay, this cannot be done with Web2. Blockchain is ideal for this, and in this case, Celo is ideal. And we decided to go with Celo because there are several benefits or features that Celo has that is quite interesting, especially for this case. Besides that, there is a very strong alignment on the mission between Celo and us. Celo is very fast, is very cheap to transact. So, for example, we have communities in Brazilian favelas, refugee camps in Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, etc. And having like transactions, like if they are claiming, for example, 50 cents a day, well, it's better that not a big part of that money stays to pay gas. And another thing about Celo is that it's mobile friendly. So the only thing people need is any kind of smartphone to connect. Actually, in some communities, we partner with, for example, with 𝗺cie𝗿𝗄𝘁 that allows, even with a feature phone that doesn't have access to the internet, they can actually claim using USSD codes and then get their money in the M-Pesa. But Celo already has a stable coin that is, now more than one. But for example, having dollar, it's very interesting, mostly for the communities where we are in, because like in Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and other countries, like they look for dollars, and having dollars is a great way to protect themselves against the inflation of the local currency. So, and I'm also a big fan of the concept of UBI. So, yeah, this is kind of through smart contracts. So the way it works is that each community can create its own UBI smart contract with different parameters, and then they can add beneficiaries, and those beneficiaries can claim funds from that smart contract on a regular basis. In this case, Celo dollar, and then use it for whatever they need or want. And also UBI is an excellent incentive to drive adoption and retention. And it's actually very interesting because initially, when you give for a community, when you give a little bit of money to almost everyone in a community, there is a lot of ripple effects that eventually a lot of the people, or most of the people on that community, uses Cello dollar directly. So they don't cash out. Even the merchants around want to be paid in Cello dollar. There are no transaction fees. It's fast and it's dollars. And on top of that, as they use the wallet 𝗲𝗲, they can also earn interest on their balance, which for them is like something surreal. So yeah, we started this way. It's like it's possible not only just to donate to these communities. So in a traditional philanthropy, when the money goes out of your bank account, is kind of a black hole. You don't know where the money is going, and you have no idea, and then you have to trust other entities to understand the impact you are creating. In this case, you can actually see the economic development of people transacting among each other, the volume, with how many new people they are transacting with, and actually they can cash out or cash in directly with other people in the community, so by hand. So yeah, that's where kind of the idea came from. And at the same time, there are a huge untapped potential to reach like the 2 billion people that are unbanked. And without this technology, it probably would remain the same way. So that's how we are thinking about it. UBI is great to drive adoption and retention, and to incentivize people to use that money, because most of the people we are supporting, this is the only income they have. But eventually, then on top of that, create other kind of or access to other kind of financial services, and tap into other DeFi protocols built on Celo, like access to microcredit, collective savings, learn and earn, pay for specific tasks, etc. So yeah, that's how we are trying to become one of the main contributors to eradicate extreme poverty by 2030, and by doing that, we can actually also become one of the biggest financial infrastructures in the world.
Thank you.
And maybe, Kate, and maybe just to add to what Marco said, I think what's really interesting, and anyone who's been in the space knows this, so far, on and off ramps from fiat to crypto have just been really difficult, right? Especially if you're thinking about regular people. And so the easiest way to get someone to use crypto is to give them crypto. And so I think if you look at how people that have been receiving funds through impactMarket are then using those stable coins, for example, to pay a neighbor or make a payment at a local merchant, because that merchant suddenly realizes there's money in the community, and so they're accepting it, has really been in the communities where impactMarket operates a massive driver for crypto adoption. And so to me, I think this really is one of the great ways to actually have more people come into the space and be not just financially included, but become part of the metaverse, so to speak, not to overuse the term. I think as such, impactMarket already is a platform that allows for really a lot of other products, right, that want to reach people and communities all over the world to leverage that infrastructure.
Yeah, thank you, Renee, and thank you, Marco, for explaining to us what impactMarket is all about, and what led you to use the Cello network. I think the Cello network, I think that's very, very interesting. From Polkastarter, for us, also integrating Cello will allow us to hopefully go further on multi-chain fundraising, and we are eager to continue working with innovative projects that are pushing the boundaries of capital growth, and I think impactMarket is a great example. Can you tell us more, Marco, about your expectation on this IDO and why did you choose Polkastarter?
Sure. So one of the main expectations on the IDO was to also raise more awareness about what we are doing, and Polkastarter is like part of the team is Portuguese. I've been following the project for a while. We are also a Portuguese project that we started in Portugal, but now our team is kind of all over the world. And the opportunity for Polkastarter, Polkastarter and Celo, they were kind of discussing to add the network, and it was a beautiful timing because we had been working on the token and the DAO development for several months, and we were planning to launch the token more or less in these dates. So also that kind of aligns, everything kind of aligns for us to do this IDO. Obviously that this extra funding will allow us to grow faster. But it was a combination of factors of knowing the Polkastarter team, also like they having already been working on integrating Cello, and we being kind of almost being ready to launch the token. So all the kind of the stars aligned, and it makes a lot of sense. And so far it has been a great experience for us to go through all the process, and our community has grown like massively, which is amazing, that more people know about us, more people care about what we are trying to provide. So that was kind of a combination of factors that we felt that, well, this might be a great opportunity and is in the right timing. So let's do this.
Yeah, and I believe we will achieve the goal. We're very excited for it. Can you share with the community what are you planning after the IDO?
Sure. So right after, like minutes after, or more kind of like a roadmap?
Minutes after, I believe you'll be celebrating, and but more for like your future roadmap.
Some good Portuguese sparkling wine, Marco.
Yeah. Yes, it has to be Portuguese to be good.
Wait a second.
All right. Yeah, so as I was saying, like UBI is kind of our first step. Is just like is the first what we call a kind of emergency and first approach to any very vulnerable community to start uplifting themselves out of the situation they are in. Most of the beneficiaries we help are moms or women that have children, or single moms, or abused women, or like refugee camps, Brazilian favelas, indigenous as well, farmers in Venezuela, and also in the Philippines. So so that's kind of first, before trying to provide other kind of financial services or access to other opportunities, UBI is a great incentive for adoption and retention. And one of the things that also, like, so we don't use any crypto. Some of the UBI projects, they use their own crypto. We choose to use dollar, because dollars in developing countries there's a lot of demand and people understand it, and people want to have dollars. If we create just a token as a currency, it will be very, very, very difficult. So UBI first, then provide access to other financial services, like they can use tokens as a collateral to ask for a microcredit, or we can then we tap into infrastructures like pool together, so a community can create a kind of a pool where people can save, and there is rewards that will be kind of like a lottery for one of the beneficiaries. So it's also an incentive for them to save. And in terms of the protocol itself, there is one thing that has been one of the main challenges that we have been kind of working on and put some mechanisms around, that is basically about Sybil attacks, identity, trust, and reputation around the beneficiaries, because there is no kind of 𝗺cie on the beneficiaries. So what we want to improve after this step is to create a mechanism that can, for example, through social consensus and having beneficiaries vouching for those that they believe should get priority on getting access to UBI. So that's kind of a next step that we want to build on chain those mechanisms, and eventually create a currency. So instead of having people donating money that can be claimed by the beneficiaries in their communities, in this case, in order to reach like many millions, if we keep in this model, it will require a very large recurring amount of donations, so everyone could receive the UBI. But if we eventually, when we get enough traction, we can do another thing, that is like we can ask donors to just deposit assets as a collateral, and then having a currency that is minted by the beneficiaries when they claim. So, and then they can convert that currency to Cello dollar or to use it right away. So this way, it will kind of give us the opportunity to scale much faster without the requirements of having a steady, big, recurring inflow of donations. And another thing is that we are working on also with some universities and some key partners is to build an impact measurement framework. So currently, it's possible to measure the economic development in those communities by seeing like how many people are involved in transactions, how many transactions and volume. But we want to also to go much deeper on that and try to understand how the UBI is impacting these beneficiaries on their health, education, happiness, what's the impact on their children, if they are going now to school or not, what's the impact on the community itself. So we want to not only to say that there is economic development going on, but also how the life of these beneficiaries are improving in different verticals. So these are kind of, so just summing up, more access to more financial services and other features like learn and earn. Second, create a social consensus mechanism that improves or ensures the identity and reputation and trust of each of the beneficiaries, because, well, sometimes maybe people try to have like different accounts in the same phone, or the community managers can be pressed by bad actors to be added. So this way, we want to improve the way beneficiaries are selected. And last but not the least is to create a currency and an impact measurement framework. That's how we are looking at this, and obviously make this more decentralized in terms of governance. So the participants of the protocol are the ones deciding the future and the direction of the protocol itself.
Awesome. Great. Speaking about the future, now turning to Renee, what are your plans for Cello?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit different who you ask in the community. So in my role at the Cello Foundation, really our main goal going into 2022 is to best support founders like Marco who are building amazing applications on the Celo protocol. We just had a big announcement a few weeks ago that Kickstarter decided to decentralize and is going to launch their protocol and their application on the Celo network. And so, for us, really, it's all about figuring out, hey, how do we best support projects like impactMarket, like Kickstarter, really everyone building the future that we dream of, in a sense. And maybe to be a bit more specific, I think when you look at Celo versus some of the other chains, I think there are a few areas that particularly stand out. And Marco mentioned the Celo mission, which is to create better financial infrastructure, better digital infrastructure, really to enable prosperity for all. And a lot of that falls into three broad categories. The first one being around regenerative finance and sort of applications and use cases that are also, where a lot of sort of climate-related work fall into, and we're seeing that with quite a few projects starting in that space. We recently announced the Climate Collective, which is a collective effort of projects that are building on Celo to bring more natural assets on chain and allow for these assets, for example, to become part of the reserve that backs the currencies that people use. There are a lot of founders that are really excited about thinking how community commerce can be improved. And this is something where, category where Kickstarter falls in, but also at a local level, people working on community currencies, rethinking commerce as sort of the engine to bring prosperity to communities around the world. And then last but not least, universal basic access to financial products and services, which really impactMarket fits squarely in. And, a lot of the work that we've been doing at the Celo Foundation has been around an initiative called DeFi for the People, which just kicked off, towards the end of the year, which really aims to help bring a lot of the great innovation we've been seeing in DeFi to 6 billion smartphone holders. And it's clear to us that will likely require some pretty significant changes on the user experience and how people access these tools. And, part of the initiative are really the biggest DeFi protocols out there: Aave, Curve, 𝗪cie, 0x, 𝗪ma, a lot of the major protocols in the Ethereum ecosystem, but then also protocols that are native to Celo, such as Uniswap, Mobius, Symmetric, and many others. And what's interesting is that, despite a lot of the, momentum around DeFi, the number of people that are currently actively using DeFi is still tiny. We're still talking, best guess, millions of people, single-digit millions of people, which, if we're looking at the billions of people out there that should be able to use some of their Bitcoin as collateral to take out a stablecoin loan within a few seconds at, really just a few cents fees, which you can do currently, on Celo, but you can't easily yet do, then, this really points to kind of just a massive work ahead in terms of just educating people of what's available, what's possible, and bringing more people into the Celo ecosystem. And I'm excited about Polkastarter because Polkastarter's mission is to help founders, help entrepreneurs build community around their projects. And that's, I think, a key success factor in creating more awareness for these great products and solutions. And I've known Miguel, one of the co-founders of Polkastarter, since before Web3, and have known him to build, just really strong products. And so when we recently reconnected, I was excited to hear what Polkastarter and team had been doing. And it's exciting for me to see Polkastarter now support Celo and projects like impactMarket having the ability to participate.
Yeah, we do believe that building a community around projects is truly the way to go. First of all, congratulations on the Kickstarter announcement. That's a very big thing. I think we are going to open the chat a little bit for community questions if somebody wants to ask a question to Renee or Marco. But before that, and since I'm very happy to see that both of you are super aligned on your mission to improve people's lives. So I would just like you to comment a little bit on what you think is the potential of using blockchain for social good.
Well, first, like what? There is. So one of the main blockers for people living in extreme poverty is not having access to finance. And there is no other way for most of the people we are supporting to access finance without blockchain. So the first thing is that like blockchain enables that, and just because of that, it's already a big step. We believe that the potential of blockchain is first of the obvious, the 2 billion people unbanked, but at the same time is to support and to improve the life of those people while driving DeFi adoption and retention. So this is like the two things go both ways. A lot of people think we are like just a traditional charity project, but you can think of us like an open financial infrastructure that allows anyone to access financial services, and that can become one of the biggest kind of Web3 fintechs. So I think the potential is huge, and I think that this is the way to go. There is no other technology that would allow us or anyone to reach most of the people we are reaching. And if it was not for this technology, it will not be possible. So yeah, this is an extremely unlocker of that opportunity, and we see the stories of our communities and how people and how we are improving the life of those people. We have a lot of testimonials saying that there is no more people on the streets, like the kids now go to school instead of being in the streets. We see a lot of kind of, it's very interesting how people help each other, and how as a community they drive themselves. We see a lot of refugees kickstarting their small businesses in the refugee camps. We see a lot of kids now being able to have food and to go to school, but in reality, people now have access to finance, and that changes a lot. So I think that the potential is huge, and as Renee was saying, we believe that within the next several years we can actually reach like 1 billion people. That's kind of our long-term goal, to reach like so we can actually make a difference on eradicating extreme poverty. And by doing that, most of the people that use our platform loves us. So we see like in Brazilian favelas graffitis with our brands, and with 𝗨𝗨 brand and Celo. People make merchandising. They actually have like trucks with some megaphones talking about us on some of the favelas and refugee camps. So usually banking is seen as kind of a bad thing. In this case, it's amazing to see how people actually love to of course, that we are providing kind of free money to them, but is more than that. We are changing their lives when not even the politicians or the governments. In most of the places, we are doing more for those people than any government ever did for them, and they are extremely grateful for that, and they are actually kind of advertising and talking about us and proud about how there is this guy that we don't know came here and just kind of give us money. And they initially they are very skeptical, but eventually they see that no, this is real, this is true. And some communities, they don't trust it until they do one or two cash outs. As soon as they do one or two cash outs, and then okay, what I'm seeing in this app is actually money, I trust it. So after that, there is no need for a cash out, and people just want to have they want to have Cello dollars. Some of the favelas, like the most used currency is already Cello dollars. Also because real is depreciating, and is cheaper and faster to transact with. So the potential, I think, is huge, and I think even ourselves, it's hard to it's hard to see how the future will be, because this is also a very new technology, but we are very optimistic and confident that this will be a game changer, and we are seeing that on the ground.
Would you like to add anything, Renee?
Sorry, I was not finding the mute button. No, I mean, Marco said it beautifully, and yeah, I think to me, really, what I kind of said earlier, that this.
I think we lost Renee in the middle.
Yeah.
No problem. Let's move on until Renee comes back. I think we have at least 2 requests to speak. We still have 10 minutes to go, so I think we can invite someone to ask a question. So you ready?
Yes.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Jamil. I have a question for Marco. Marco, I'm a huge fan of Polkastarter, and now a fan of what you're doing and empowering the needy across the world. I just have one question here. Is obviously this is a great opportunity to participate in such a great social cause on a global scale. What is also for an investor an economic opportunity would this project present? Not necessarily in the short term, maybe in the long term. If you could shed some light on the utility of the token in the ecosystem and what potential there is for the future growth of token besides governance, which is clearly stated. If you can shed some light on that, I'll be grateful.
Sure. So the token, and so first we are moving to a DAO. So first we want to that the community govern the protocol they are using, and the other mechanism on the token is to incentivize the participants. So one of the mechanisms we we call it impact farming, or it's like a kind of a donation mining. So when you think about traditional philanthropy, so and if you just look at some rough numbers, for example, only in the US, about $500 billion are donated every year just from the US, and half of that will be enough to eradicate extreme poverty. But there is like a lot of flaws and issues with philanthropy. So in this case, in our case, people by donating everything is transparent. There is no intermediaries, and on top of that, they get ownership on the protocol. By donating, they earn our tokens. Some mechanisms to drive demand and scarcity, we are thinking about implementing that through proposals, and then it will be up to the token holders to accept it or not. So mechanisms that, for example, having a treasury in DAO that generates yield, and that yield is used to buy back tokens in the market. to the reserve. So the more donations and the bigger the treasury, the more demand there is in the token. But there are also other incentives like this. In this case, if we compare, for example, with the liquidity mining, where people just deposit assets and earn tokens on top of that, in this case, people actually have to donate the money, and the mindset of donors is not so much on I will donate to make money. I will donate because I want to help. So we expect that mindset that people will want to keep the token or not to donate just to have like the token, or if they want to have the token to keep them. Also, mechanisms of staking and others is something that we have been considering. We will not launch it yet, but we will submit as proposals. And another perspective is like, when we look at so many tokens and Shiba and others, that's, you know, like it's difficult to grasp what's the actual value of that. In this case, we also wanted to bring to the market a token that there is a correlation on if the price appreciates, more people go out of extreme poverty. And this is because, like, if the token appreciates, the incentives for donations will be higher as well. And the more donations come through our system, the more people we can reach. And especially in very developed countries, where, for example, 30 cents a day or 20 cents a day makes a lot of difference on their local currency. So there are there is a lot of around the narrative of the projects that we expect that the token holders have a different mindset of most of them. Also, we want to see, like, for example, we did some math, like back of the napkin math, and if we reach 1/3 of the market cap of Ethereum, the incentives for donations will be so high that we could actually attract enough donations to reach the 700 million people currently living in extreme poverty. So there is, like, those are kind of the different verticals we are looking, or perspectives that we are looking to the token. But I want to just to make clear that for now, this is not our priority to ensure or looking at the price appreciation or not of the token. We are now focused on the utility of the token. So you can delegate voting power, you can participate on choosing which communities should get priority to be approved. So you can change also other parameters of the DAO. But eventually, that's how we are looking for in the medium long term, that there is a strong narrative, that people understand that this token has a correlation with how many people are lived out of extreme poverty, and the more people we can reach, also the bigger the network will be. So the bigger the network will be, it should have a correlation on the network value to the token that controls that network. So more donations leads to more people we can reach, that leads to bigger network value that eventually is correlated with the market cap of the token. And the higher the market cap, also more people will be incentivized to donate, because, well, we believe that in several cases what will happen, or it can happen, is that you can donate, for example, $1,000, and you will be able to receive more than $1,000 worth of the tokens. So this kind of incentive is something that we want to see working, and there is a kind of a loop on. We grow the network, more people we can take out of extreme poverty, that increases the network value, and network value, there is a correlation with the token. And then if there is philanthropists or people that care about what we are doing, they actually know that there is a token in this crypto market that if the price appreciates, there is a direct correlation with how many people we can take out of extreme poverty, and more people we take out of extreme poverty, more the network value and the impact value that we are creating, that eventually can reflect on the market cap of the token. But yeah, does it answer your question?
Absolutely, you couldn't have answered it any better. That's some food for thought. Donors who are donating money will not be interested in sending out the token. So it's a very different concept. But I wish you all the best, and hopefully you're successful. Your answer is very enlightening, very different to every other project or a DeFi or a meme project we have witnessed in the last 1 year. This is exciting, and I hope you can, with the transparency of blockchain and decentralization, you can attract the Gates Foundations of the world, and hopefully you will get the bigger donors on board. So thank you very much, Marco, and good luck once again.
Thank you. Yeah, well, if anyone knows how to reach like Elon Musk, Andrew Yang, Jack Dorsey, or others that are pro UBI and blockchain, yeah, if any of those billionaires join, we could kind of actually like, or if we reach the market cap, if the token reaches the market cap of Shiba, we could uplift like millions of people out of extreme poverty. So that's like just a way to compare or to give some perspective.
Thank you, Jamil, for your question. We have 5 minutes, so I'm just going to let somebody ask a new question, and then we will finish the space. So let me just...
Hello. Hi, this is 𝗵cie, and I work in the social impact space with donors like FCDO, the World Bank, USAID. And Marco, I totally agree with the traditional ways of philanthropy haven't really dealt with the poverty that is seen in the world today. Like you've said, there's trillions of dollars that are given to countries around the world, and yeah, they're just not having the impact that they should with the amount of money that's given. And so I really like the concept here. One thing that I would like to ask is, when donors give money to organizations, they're able to provide skills and services to the recipients, so the beneficiaries, on things like financial literacy, just to ensure that the bottom billion are funds in the most conducive way. And so I think that is the sort of added value, and that's what the donors have often claimed that they're paying for, and it's still an important thing to consider, because I think if you just give money directly to, for example, people who are uneducated, then they often don't spend it on things that will probably make their lives better. And we see that in a lot of Western countries as well, where financial literacy is becoming a really important part of sort of growing up and managing your personal funds. So I'd like to understand, what are you planning on doing to ensure that the money that is being given to these beneficiaries are being spent in a way that will help them move forward? What skills are you sort of providing them? And then in addition to that, what are you doing to ensure that the funds that are provided to beneficiaries are also not being taken by powers that might, exploit those funds? So in a lot of these countries where we give money to women, for example, a lot of the time the men actually take control of the money in their household because of the social and gender dynamics that are at play in these countries. So how do you ensure that the money is spent on things that are related to improving their lives, but also that the money is actually spent by the individual that's actually receiving it, and not exploited by an external party, whether that's a husband or someone else? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and actually a very good question. So first, the money doesn't go through. So okay, so for example, we work usually with local charities that already support a group of people in vulnerability. It can be homeless people or like abused women or single moms or like different kind of vulnerabilities. And so the money goes to a smart contract, and the beneficiaries can claim directly from that smart contract. The only power that the local organization, social organization has is to select who should get access to those funds or to claim, for example, $1 a day or $2 a day from that smart contract. So these organizations never kind of touch the money. So what happens is that we also, about the education, we do a kind of the opposite way. So these people, I usually say that these people are poor, they are not dumb. What it means is that the way we are designing this is so easy for them to understand, and also the UBI incentive is so powerful that and also we don't talk usually about crypto or blockchain. We say that this is an app that has a special kind of dollars, and eventually like people start kind of using that, and usually the younger generation on those communities start to kind of realize, well, how is this possible? What is this technology? How is it possible that I can transact with this? And then that's where the curiosity and learning starts to come in, because they start to learn more by themselves about that, and the younger generation teaching like the older ones. So because we work with communities, that's like a very special way, because people know each other and they help each other. We have people with more than 80 years old using a crypto every day, and most of them they don't even know they are using this kind of blockchain technology. The same way people use internet and they don't know about TCP/IP. Another thing is like this is unconditional basic income. So people use it for whatever they believe is better for themselves, and that's something we try not to have an opinion on that. But for example, we have in several communities where the social organization that we partner with, they already provide courses or help or products or they sell it or facilitate cashing out. And by doing that, for example, by providing courses about finance or other skills, people can actually pay that social organization with the Cello dollar for that. And also a lot of merchants around, they start accepting it, because after the first one accept it, the others like will be losing the clients if they don't accept it as well, because suddenly all the potential customers around have some buying power. So and as I said before, like the civil attacks and like making sure that first the beneficiaries is a real person, individual, and that the priority on having those people access basic income should be like from those that need it the most. But obviously that in some communities we already seen some kind of like bad actors making pressure on those organizations to be added, or people creating several accounts in the same smartphone, so they try to be added like several times so they can claim more. But like blockchain, and one of the amazing things that we can look at the data and see how the money is flowing and from who to who, and which frequency, so we can kind of detect some patterns of behavior that can look at suspicious. So that's why one of the main things that we are working on is to create a social consensus where we'll be up to the communities to kind of vote and decide who should have, and not putting like that decision on one person or two in our organization, but leave that decision to a community themselves, where the community knows that the more people they add that should not get priority is less people that actually should have added and they are not added. So that's something that we are working on to figure out a better way for them to for them to use the money, and also to select actually first the people that will need it the most. But yeah, these organizations have a huge role on explaining to people how to install the apps, how it works, what they can do with that. But in terms of where making sure the people spend the money in things that they need, well, we don't go very far on that. We try to educate, but like a lot of, usually on philanthropy, the people that are donating, or a lot of people that are donating, they think they know better how the people they are supporting should spend that money, but that's not actually the case. People that actually live in these difficult situations, they know better why they need the money and where to spend the money, and that's why we are trying to go for places where there is extreme poverty, and where like 20 cents, 30 cents, even $1 a day will make a huge difference for them. Other thing that we are working on is mechanisms of learn and earn. So where people can just like learn about this technology, learn about the potential of DeFi, on staking, on getting a credit against a crypto as a collateral. And so that's also something we want to have on the app itself, in a way that people can earn by learning more about that. So yeah, we are exploring different ways for that. We don't have like a final answer like how we are going to do that, but what we will develop and learn also along the way, how to better align all those concerns and overcome them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. That was really helpful. I think your USP here is that you're giving directly, obviously, to the individuals, but actually the point that you make about the local organizations playing a role is a huge factor. In terms of determining what is important for those local communities. Like you say, often people like myself, who I've been working in the industry for God knows how many years, and we eventually want to do ourselves out of a job, but donors obviously don't want to give directly to those local organizations because they require that sort of audit trail or operational capacity, which in fact I sometimes don't think it's needed, and often there's this sort of I would say aid colonialism that is sort of kept. And I think your mechanism of sort of challenging that is a really interesting one, and I really do hope that it succeeds. And I'll be watching it and following it closely. But yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you. It will succeed.
Thanks, 𝗖ecie, for your question. All right, just to wrap up, remember that impactMarket IDO is taking place tomorrow, December 22. I believe that the whitelist results are out, or will be out once this Twitter space is finished. So good luck. And for those who are whitelisted, make sure to check the Polkastarter blog to learn about what you need to do in order to participate on this first Cello IDO. Thank you, Marco and Renee, for joining us.
Thank you all for learning, for being here and learning more about what we're doing. It's very important to us to have you interested on finally like a more not Desian crypto project. It's important for us to see that we have a community that cares about what we are building, and that's how we want to keep going. And also thank you, Polkastarter, for this opportunity.
All right, our time is up. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.